Are you ready? Let's go.
Yo, what's up? What's happening with you? What's cracking with you? It's your boy, Sports Dad. Another day, just kicking it with you guys. And I'm so glad that it's Thursday, Friday Eve. We made it through another week. And you know how we get down. So let's get right into it. First of all, if you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe to the channel and make sure you share the information. This is we try to put as much recruiting information out as much as we possibly can to be able to share this information with parents, players, coaches, if they want to, dive in and, and take to get some takeaways or whatnot, to be able to get better and things like that, because it's always good just to be able to hear feedback. You know what I mean? If you got topics that you want us to cover, make sure that you put that information, reach out to me on any one of my social media outlets. You know where to find me. And things like that. And so, and we'll make sure that we'll get some information out. I'm also still doing interviews. I'm also still looking to, actually do some more recording videos and things like that. So just trying to keep the channel active or whatnot, but you already know what time it is. We are trying to get to 500 subscribers and we are almost there. At first it was 300, but now we're at 500. And so, so we're making it happen. It is a grind though. You know what I mean? And so, but I can't do it without you guys. And so I appreciate everything that you have done. I appreciate the support. Speaking of support, if you want to support the channel financially, you know where to send all donations to. What do you mean supporting the channels financially? Well, at the end of the day, the more capital you have, the more chances that you're putting yourself in a position to be able to interview good quality interviews and keeping them coming. And so far, we've been able to do that. But at the end of the day, time is very important, and nothing is, for free. So, I would like to try to, at least be able to give a little gift for people's time. And that is the goal of the channel. And I believe that it can definitely happen with your help. So today we got a good show lined up for you today. We're going to have some good discussions. We're going to talk about basketball today. We've been talking about football and things like that, and keeping it real with that. And that's what we do on this channel. We keep it, we keep it a stack. And so, and that's the whole goal. There's no filters or anything like that. There's nothing that's pre-scripted. We just talk, and that's what we like to do. And so, but I got a really nice a guest for us today. He was on the show prior, but I wanted to get him back, and get a one-on-one situation, and just and just try to pick his brain. This guy is, I consider him one of the best coaches, one of the top coaches in high school basketball in Michigan for sure, and definitely have coached some high caliber players and things like that. And so we are definitely going to get into it. If you are in the live right now, make some noise by just throwing something in the chat. I got my boy Jesse Gaskin. I appreciate you, man. I appreciate the love. I went to high school with this guy. This guy was a tremendous athlete, a football player. He liked to call himself Jerome Bettis. I remember that. But this guy was practically, unstoppable. But yeah. But if you're in the chat, make some noise if you want to. It's up to you. Once again, to keep the chat lit. You know how we do. You know how we get down. If you got comments or whatnot, questions, please put that information in the chat at any time of the actual conversation. All right. So we're going to dive right into it. Now, this coach, I first of all, before I moved into the area, I heard a lot about, and, when I actually moved into the area, I did my research, on my own. And so, And so at the end of the day, I've heard nothing but good things about this guy, and I've witnessed it myself. And he's actually one of my good friends is on his coaching staff, Coach Joseph Hines. And I got nothing but good things to say about this guy. But I'm gonna bring him on, and we're gonna have a conversation. And I see you guys in the chat getting live. That's what I'm talking about. Oh, Darnell, you already know what time it is. What up, boy? What up? This is my guy right here. We're basketball junkies, you know what I mean? And so, but he got a son that can shoot the lights out. But you already know what time it is, So without any further ado, I'm gonna bring on my guy, my friend, and we're just gonna have a good time. Like I said, if you got questions at any point, please make sure you throw that information in the chat. Coach Tocco, everybody. What's up, Coach?
How you doing, Cephas?
I'm doing good, man. How are you?
Oh, tough times right now, man. That's not easy for basketball coaches all over the state of Michigan. It's a very difficult time. I was just telling somebody the other day, this is usually the busiest time of the year for us as a program, as me as a coach. And,
right.
And it's just, we were experiencing a downtime that we're not used to right now. And it's something that is very, very difficult to get used to.
Right. So and I'm glad you just came out the gate and just talked about, jumping right on it. And we're going to talk about this right now. But you talked about, it's a tough time. Normally you guys would be busy around this time of the year. What exactly would you guys be doing right now, Coach?
Well, this would be game week. This would be our first week of games. We had an opening schedule basically of first two games of the year were going to be this week just to kick it off. And we had the Callahan Challenge coming up, which we went against the Catholic League every year. The winner of the MAC conference plays the winner of all the Catholic League teams. And we were set to play UAD over at Callahan Hall. A very exciting time in our program. And
wow,
we love playing the big boys. And obviously not having that is very, very disappointing.
Absolutely, Coach. And well, it's kind of, I don't have anything scripted, and I'm just going to just shoot straight from the hip because, I believe that's how, the most realest conversation, the best conversations happen. So, since you talked about, you guys would typically be ready, getting ready for an actual tournament, essentially before you kick off in your season. Why are those tournaments so important to you?
Well, ever since we got the job over at Dakota, I felt to move the basketball program to another level.
Right.
We needed to play outside the county. Now, who we played outside the county was based on, obviously, I think, making relationships with some of the top people as far as top coaches and some of the, gentlemen like Horatio Williams, who puts on major events throughout the year. People like that, and just making contact with people so you can get those types of games. I feel those types of games are invaluable. I feel that we've won postseason games in the past because we've played those preseason, so to speak, games against very high level competition. And we had another great schedule lined up for this year. And it doesn't look like that's going to happen. It looks like it's just going to be a MAC conference type of schedule if and when we do go back. So I just think playing those tougher teams and playing the best competition in Michigan, it doesn't hurt you. It's not like football. I know you've been talking a lot of football on your podcast. It's not like football where a loss kills you. A loss can be just as good sometimes and beneficial to your program as a win can be when you break down the film and you go at it and you learn the things that you need to get better at and the things that you can take advantage of in the future against teams that are a little less caliber than the team you're playing. So we just love playing the big boys and trying to somehow get in the spotlight for our program. And that just, builds our athletes' confidence. Sometimes, they get beaten up a little bit, but you know what? That's good because that experience definitely helps them in the future. Absolutely.
And I and speaking of, high caliber talent that you guys are playing, in Michigan, like in those tournaments, just so everybody understand, you're playing like, top PSL teams, and teams that are in other in other, areas as well. But these are pretty much top teams, and everybody from all over the state, and beyond are coming to watch these games because essentially it's the best of the best.
No doubt. It's, the West Side. We got involved with some West Side teams in the past. We've played the Detroit Public School teams. We've played the Catholic League. We've played whoever we could get in touch with and basically have a good game with. And it's just like I said, it's very disappointing right now that we can't have those opportunities to play a preseason schedule, obviously because of the pandemic that's going on.
I know. And so speaking of the pandemic, man, like, I mean, you kind of hit on it a little bit, but do you think we got a good chance here?
Oh man, you know what? I hope so. We pray for it, and obviously we want to make sure everybody's healthy. We want to do things safely, but I don't know if I see too much happening before the Christmas break.
Yeah.
I know with the governor's speech the other day, they mentioned trying to get school as a priority to get in school first, which I agree, trying to get back to normal. But with all the cases and the number of cases on the upswing, so to speak, it's very difficult to say how long it'll take. I've been notified by some people that we would hopefully start sometime in January with practice and maybe play games by late January. I don't know if that'll push the season into March, which I'm sure it will. That's nothing's concrete, nothing's for sure, but that's our hope right now. And right now we only have a max schedule, which I don't know if they're going to let us do crossovers and travel and that type of thing once we do get back. So it's all up in the air right now. I wish I had a better answer for you, but I'm hoping that we can play at least some basketball.
Well, I mean, and I'm hopeful too, and I'm pretty sure other parents are hopeful. I seeing that you actually, you posted this message on your Twitter, talking a little bit. It looks like it's a statement from the MHSAA executive director. And basically, and it looks like it's a response. We realize the crisis our medical caregivers and first responders are navigating and understand the need to continue the pause. However, the MHSAA had provided a detailed plan to both Governor Whitmer and MD HHS that would have completed fall tournaments with no spectators as safely as possible during the month of December, along with allowing winter sports practices to resume. So, to talk a little bit about that, because, I've also posted, on my Twitter page, because I noticed that, that like the gyms are not, shut down. Right. So, we have Planet Fitness, Lifetime, all those guys are still open, and it looks like professional sports without spectators are still happening too. I don't understand really what the difference is for, for high school sports. Why couldn't why couldn't we actually have, an actual season? What is the difference? You know what I'm saying? I don't really understand.
I know what you're saying, and I did see that tweet that you put out there, and I have seen a lot of coaches make the exact same comments because they're letting gyms be open publicly and doing individual training. But at the same time, I think obviously it has a lot to do with connected to the public schools, and the obvious that we're not in the classroom, and that takes priority. But I agree with you. They're doing training outside of public schools right now, and I hope this is not the demise of public high school basketball, because now you're starting to see that the AAU programs are picking up again and doing their training, and as it was, the AAU is something that obviously can be very good for student athletes, but at the same time, we've already had one season interrupted and ended.
Right.
This one is now on delay. So
right.
I just hope that things can continue at some point.
So, speaking of, I was getting ready to say, I would think one of the positives, out of this whole thing though, is that it's a good opportunity for, I think for high school sports in general, and for, definitely for the recruiting piece for high school basketball, because, just like you were saying, the recruiting has shifted over the years to AAU, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you're playing for a reputable AAU team, you can get looked at and things like that. But what about now that those AAU teams have been shut down, really haven't not been able to get to any tournaments, and essentially they're starting to pick back up, but it's not really where 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 it should be. And then if high school basketball picks back up, then high school basketball is going to be back in full swing. So so I would think that it would be a good time for high schools and high schools to basically capitalize on the recruiting piece, because it looks like it's shifting back now because of this situation. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you. We got to take initiative and try to see what we can do as far as getting in that gym as soon as possible, because take advantage of the time that we can to work on the game. And I think everyone misses is just the competition. Obviously, we love playing those games on Tuesday and Friday night, but we miss just training with the kids, and the kids miss it. They want to get in the gym and they want to get better. They want to get their workouts in. And we're the only schools or the only state really that wears masks or going to wear masks, and we can make it safe, but at the same time, it's the governor that's basically putting these restrictions on the schools, the public schools, and there's not a lot of ways to go around that when it comes to the public schools. But I feel bad for the kids. They miss it. It's something that I wish we could get in the gym and get some training in. We've been sending out workouts to our players. Our players hopefully are getting, staying in shape. That's the biggest thing. And we send out daily workouts for them to, this weather today was nice. So hopefully a lot of them were on the driveway shooting the basketball.
Yeah. I think I heard one coach, say that, some of the, back in the day when he was growing up, it was a statement that said that some of the best players are actually made in the driveway.
I agree with that. There's some of them
too.
Have the discipline to work on their game in the driveway and get better. And I've coached a lot of very good players, and they all had their individual work ethic. And if you have individual work ethic, this hopefully this shutdown won't bother you. If you don't have that individual work ethic, then this shutdown is gonna bother some teams that don't have kids that are disciplined enough to stay in shape.
Right. So you started to talk about it, Coach. During the pandemic, what are high school coaches allowed to do at this point?
Well, the girls are in a better situation than the boys. I don't know if you know the timing. The girls had a tryout. The girls have a team.
Oh, wow. I didn't know.
They actually, they were I think they were a couple days into their tryouts, or they had already picked teams for the most part, and then the shutdown happened. The boys, unfortunately, never even got to tryouts. So I don't have a team necessarily. Now, don't get me wrong. Let's be honest. We know most coaches know who their top 10, 12 guys are. So we have their information. We can connect with them, whether through Zoom or text messaging and that type of thing. But we don't have a team. So we don't have we never basically officially put together a team. And, at Dakota, it's a pretty big high school. There's a lot of different kids come out every year. And, so I don't know exactly who our 15 were going to be this year. So this is something that we're at a huge disadvantage from not only on the court, but off the court stuff too, as far as, playbook and fundraising and all those things, that camaraderie, basically coming together as a team and doing things together. And can't do any of those things right now with all the limitations that are put on us. So very difficult situation. As of right now, we have college basketball to watch and look forward to watching. But I don't even know how long that's going to last from what I'm hearing on the TV the last couple of days. So we'll see.
I know. It's like you kind of gotta enjoy it while it's happening, because you just never know when it'll be taken away.
Exactly.
So because the only reason why I asked that question, like what are coaches are allowed to do, because I think it's I think it's a good and bad thing. Here's the thing. I'm one of those type of guys that are try to look at the situation and say, what are the positives in this? And so, I know it's a situation where kids wishing they can get in the gym, coaches wishing that kids can get in the gym and get some work in. But if not, I didn't know. I made a post today, is it possible, or can coaches have virtual practices? I understand you don't have a team, but just like you said, who your players are that's returning, who you're rolling with. Now, granted, there are, talent that comes out. Dakota is a very big school, and you just never know who's moving into the area, and things like that. But, I just didn't know, because you may not be able to get into the gym, but at the same time, like, as far as the plays, teaching plays and things like that, you can still try to get ahead of the 8 ball with that, don't you think?
Yeah, we can do things virtually. It's not something I'm used to. I'll be honest with you. I'm not gonna I'm not gonna sugarcoat it and tell you that it's something I'm not. It's not something I'm used to.
Right.
Obviously, I'm teaching virtually at the high school, and it's
Yeah.
something that's a little bit different, and everybody's getting used to. But
Yeah.
we do send out workouts to the kids, and obviously we want them to stay in shape and do the things. And like I said before, those top 10, 12 guys, they're very experienced as far as they know what we do as far as a program, whether they're on the JV or the varsity last year, and we do the same things that we've done in the past. So we got an opportunity before the shutdown to work on quite a few things as far as just open gym situations and the kids staying in shape. So I'm hopeful that somehow, some way, these kids can come back and be in decent enough shape that we can get going and have a couple weeks of practice, I would hope, before we get into some competition. But I just don't know. There's so many unanswered questions right now
Right.
that it's difficult to give you a straight answer on that one.
Right. So let's shift a little bit, Coach. Let's talk about coaching. Big time. Just, great talent, big talent. You know what I mean? You've had, speaking of college hoops. In fact, you got a couple college, Division I players, former players that are actually playing at the college level right now, right?
Correct. Yeah. Last night, Ryan Rollins tipped it off in Ann Arbor and played against Michigan for the University of Toledo, and he's a true freshman, averaging 15 points a game right now, and
Wow.
starting for Toledo and really making us proud over at Dakota. He did a tremendous job. We have Jermaine Jackson Jr. and Jack Ballantyne out at LIU in New York.
Yeah.
We have my son Mark and my son Joey are both playing at Albion College, playing basketball out there.
Yeah.
They're unfortunately shut down right now.
Yeah.
But at the same time, coaching those types of kids and having an opportunity to coach college athletes has been a blessing for me. It really has. It's been a blessing to be able to coach that type of talent and be able to do it with great kids. I've had some really good kids over the time that we've been coaching there over at Dakota. And this is I'm very proud when you can watch your boys on TV and the guys that you coached and be able to say that you coach those guys and be proud of what they're doing at the next level, and they're earning a degree and they're getting to play basketball. I mean, how can you beat that? You get to be able to play basketball at a high level and earn a degree and done some great things. And we've had some very good basketball players that are playing college football right now. And a guy like Jalen Hall, who's starting at Western as a receiver. Guy like Daniel Crawford, who's starting at Northern Illinois right now as a tight end. Both varsity basketball players for us. And, it's a good thing to be able to see those kids succeed and play on Saturdays. And who knows, they may be playing at another level. So
Absolutely.
That gives us hope. Go ahead.
So, well, talking about, I thought it would be really big time, and kudos to you, Coach, for the success that you have with your program thus far. And I know it's a proud moment when you look on TV and see your players that that you coached and they playing at the next level. But talk about a player like, for an example, Jermaine Jackson, who phenomenal talent that you had, and I want players. Because, I have a lot of young players that are watching this channel as well, and things like that. And I want them to understand that the difference that separates you, from everybody else. You say you're ready, you want to play at the next level. What does that really look like for a player like, Jermaine? Like, how did that look?
Well, I could tell you what it looked like. He would call me. And he'd be like the night before, he'd text me and say, we meeting at the gym at 5:30. And he'd want to get up an hour and a half, 2 hours before school started. We'd meet in the gym and we'd get on the shooting gun or get in the pool or get in the weight room, whatever it would be. And Ryan was the same way. We've had kids that have obviously wanted to put in the extra work. And the difference between a varsity basketball player that's going to be successful in high school and then a varsity basketball player that's going to move on and play at the next level. Those type of guys wanted to do the extra work. They wanted to be in early, stay late. They put in the extra work, and they were dedicated, and they're passionate about what they're doing. And that, to me, is the next level basketball player. That's the person that can do it at a high level, at the next level.
Wow.
And those are the type of things that I think kids nowadays, they want the gratification, some of them, but they don't want to put in the extra work. And hopefully the ones that get it do put in the extra work and are doing it right now, even without the coaching. So, but that is the difference between a D1 player and a kid that's, obviously going to, and there's nothing wrong with playing at any level, whether it's D1, D2, D3. There's only a certain percentage of kids that can even do that, can even play at the college level. And those kids are all putting in the extra work. They're all getting in workouts and doing those extra things to make themselves better.
Right. And I'm glad you brought that up, in regards to, how that looks like, when Jermaine would call you and say, hey, can we get in the gym at 5:30 in the morning before school starts and things like that. So how important from a coaching perspective, when you have players that want to get into the gym, that you make the gym accessible to them?
Oh, it's important all the time. I mean,
because some coaches don't.
Yeah, well, that's your job. I feel that's your job.
Wow.
I feel that putting in the extra time is your job, and that's why I feel so handcuffed right now. I feel like, God, we can't do. I mean, I hate it. I can't stand it right now. We can't do anything. We're not allowed in that gym. And you brought up that graphic earlier about what we put on Twitter there, and it doesn't make a lot of sense, some of the rules right now, but that's the way it is. So, yeah, putting that extra time in and doing those things, I think, is your job. It's part of what you signed up for when you decided to coach a varsity basketball program, whatever level you're at.
Right.
And I think that's part of the big thing that some coaches get it, and I think a lot of coaches in our area do a good job with that, and then some coaches, may just be necessarily doing what they need to do to get the paycheck, and that's not necessarily a good thing because you're not in it for the paycheck. I could tell you that much.
Right. And it's funny you brought that up because, I was talking to another coach about that. I mean, there's, you guys are just doing, when you're coaching high school, you better believe that these coaches are definitely doing it off of the love of the game because, just so I'm just talking to the audience now, they don't get compensated a lot of money for coaching. They don't, it's a situation where it's definitely room for improvement there. So most of the time they're spending a lot of time, of their time, but it's mostly off of love. Let's take a quick pause, Coach. It looks like we got a question. From Darnell. He said, if we don't open up, what's your thoughts on taking a team out of state? Some Midwest states are actually playing ball.
There's the surrounding states are all playing ball right now.
Wow.
That's a difficult one. That's a tough one because I don't know if our school district, me being I'm a school teacher, and that is my first priority as far as my job is concerned. And obviously I'm in charge of the basketball program, which is a very, very important responsibility as well. I just don't know if they would allow us to do that. I don't know if they would allow us to go to different borders or different states to play if they don't let us do it in Michigan. That's something I'm going to definitely bring up if they end up, moving this extension or moving this, what do you call it? The deadline for, they say they're going to possibly reopen in late December, early January. If they continue to put a stop on basketball, that might be something we need to look into.
Right. Great question. So, and just a few more, and then I'm gonna let you go, Coach. But still talking about coaching high caliber players from a coaching perspective. Were you ever guilty of holding a kid back? If say for instance you had a kid that could, that was a scoring machine or whatever the case was, but for some reason you you didn't allow him to express himself at that particular time until you felt it was ready. Have you ever experienced that from a coaching perspective? And if so, what's the thought process behind it?
Well, I can tell you this: I've learned, and over the years, I've learned to let the student athlete express themselves. Let the student athlete play their game and kind of build your situations around the kid that with his strengths and his attributes. I had a team
Wow.
about a while ago that made it to the Final Four and
Hmm.
had a lot of talent, and it was difficult to let everyone express themselves on that team.
Right.
We did it for the most part, and if I look back on it. If I could do it over, I would
Right.
define roles a little bit more than I did. But at the same time, maybe I should have let some guys go a little bit more. And that's what I've learned over the years, that when you got a talented young athlete, you got to let them go. You got to let them you got to give them that freedom to be able to play the game at their style. Like I give an example of Ryan. A lot of people have seen him play in this area, so maybe they know what I'm talking about. He
Yeah.
plays the game at his speed. He plays it at his speed. He doesn't
Hmm.
necessarily, some coaches will say, well, is he playing hard all the time? Yeah. He plays it at a speed that you need to catch up with him. And it's just so
Right.
smooth in the way he plays.
Right.
And then you got guys like Jermaine who, obviously played the game at his level, in his way that, basically you had to back off, give them the ball and let them do their thing. And a lot of times, but it's structured. We have a lot of structure, and things that we do in our program are structured around the talent that we have. And I think that the biggest thing is the freedom that we do give our players.
Hmm.
It can be very good at times, but sometimes you do have to pull them in and rein them in and understand that this is a team game.
Right.
And it's not necessarily just for your individual sacrifice or individual stats.
Right. Right. Absolutely. I'm glad you said that because, I did have Rashad Phillips on, who's NBA analyst. He analyzed the college players as well. But he did say, I asked him about that, and he talked about if players are not allowed to express themselves, and if they have that ability, then maybe some coaches don't need to be coaches. And so so I thought that was pretty
Mm-hmm.
big of you. You said you learned, in that instance and things like that. And, because you just see it. And, I know it, it happened to me at one point, and things like that. You just don't understand. It confuses the player and, could possibly kill their confidence. What do you think about, what do you think about, the high school coach responsibility, and what role do they play in recruiting, college recruiting?
Oh, I think there's a big role. I've had some great relationships with college coaches and continue to have those today.
Mm,
Through text messages and phone calls and emails, and I feel that it's important for the high school coach to be involved in the recruiting process. The more that you talk to those college coaches, I think the better relationship you're going to have for your whole program, and not just the one player that they may be recruiting. And I feel very strongly that I want to be completely honest and upfront with college coaches. And I'm sure you've heard this before, but
hmm.
they know when you're BSing them, because if you're BSing a college coach, the only thing that hurts is your program. It really does,
Right.
because be upfront and honest with them, and they see it, they know it, and I think they take our opinion. And I've heard a lot of them say they value the high school coach's opinion, because we see them, we see the students in a different light. We see them all day long. We see them from 7 a.m. to 6, 7 at night sometimes, and we get to know the young man a little bit better than most people. We're around them all day
Right.
long, and we have a lot to do with kind of defining their character and the type of people that they are. And so college coaches trust that, and having a good relationship with college coaches, I feel, is very important. And I still keep in touch with a lot of the coaches, obviously through this, and get text messages from college coaches, and wish them luck on their games, even though we're not playing. They do the same, obviously, when we be playing. So keeping a good relationship with college coaches is important, and to be honest and upfront with them, I think, is even more important.
Right. And I thought I'd ask that question because, it's some, coaches have the mentality of, um, hey, my responsibility is to coach basketball, and, coach the team and not necessarily, deal with deal with the recruiting piece. And so, and try to at least get your kid looked at.
That's selfish. That's
Yeah.
selfish. I feel that it's your job to do that, and basically gather those relationships and basically, help the student athlete out. And then basically, maintain a good relationship with your student athlete, and they know, and the kids know when you're doing it for the right reasons, and being in it for the right reasons,
Yeah.
is important for me.
Yeah. Before I let you go, Coach, it looks, Darnell, he puts this on. He says, imagine a kid that works his butt off all summer, stays in the gym, but he's only a sophomore. And the coach tell his father he should be playing more, but he's loyal to his seniors to a fault. What do you think about that?
Well, that's a tough one because, it's obviously you want to be loyal to seniors, but I can tell you this, that I've had freshmen and sophomores starting over seniors, and it's always provided a little bit of anxiety, a little bit of tension.
Yeah.
I'm the type of coach that feels like the most talented kid plays, whether he's a freshman or a sophomore or whatever the case may be.
Right.
Is that senior going to get his opportunity first? Probably, just because he's put in the time. You feel that did a good senior. It's individual. It's the individual situations that go out there. A kid works his butt off all summer, and that's important. The senior may be working his butt off all summer as well. But at the same time, talent plays, and that's how I feel about it. And sometimes when they're dead even, you got to find a way to make that sophomore, get them some playing time and make them part of the team. But at the same time, that senior's been a part of your team for how many years, depending upon the situation.
Right.
I don't know if I think the question stated be playing more, but I'm loyal to the seniors by a fault.
Right.
That's individual. That's based on what that senior's done over time and what the things, the relationship you have with that senior and what they've done on the court. So, the talent plays, and I feel that it's important that everybody understands that going on. Usually I'll have a parent meeting right at the beginning of the year that'll state that. And I don't really talk about playing time with parents. It's based on the talent that the players have, and I think that you provide a good relationship with all of them and let the cream rise to the top, so to speak.
Absolutely, Coach. I agree with you 100%. And it's good to know when you have coaches that have that mentality, and it's getting like that now, man. Like, regardless of what, grade a person is in, if, it's all about talent, and we want to put the best presentation that we possibly can out there, on the floor, on the field or what have you. At Chippewa this past football season, we had a freshman as one of the linemen. He turned out to be probably one of the best on the team. And
and I'm aware of that young man. Yeah, very good player.
Yeah, and so it gets like that. But yeah, I agree with you 100%. All right, Coach. I know it's late in the evening. I really appreciate you taking your time out and coming on to be with me again, man. It's always a pleasure to have you on. I wish I could talk to you all night and pick your brain, man. But
appreciate you having me on, and let's just all hope that we can get back to the court sooner rather than later. Be safe, and hope to the best for you and your family.
Thank you, Coach. Take care.
You too.
All right, buddy. Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Yep. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Coach Paul Tocco from Dakota High School and in the Macomb area. And he's a great guy. And as you can see, he doesn't mind answering the tough questions and having those conversations. But he has the right mindset. He has the right mindset as a coach. From coaching his players to allowing players to play within their own abilities and things like that. Because at the end of the day, if you got a player that could possibly give you 20, 25, points a night, your job is to make sure that he's comfortable because if that player is comfortable, meaning that you're not going to be yelling at him for every shot that he takes and things like that, but at the same time, still have those teachable moments, right? But don't make him feel uncomfortable. And if you make him comfortable, then you'll be able to get the full potential out of that player. And that is the essence of coaching, is when you are able to allow a player and to get a player to play up to their potential. If a player is not playing up to their potential, then there's something that's missing. But that is the true essence of coaching. So I am, and while I was actually in that session, my mind worked like this, and sometimes it can get the best of me because I be getting a million ideas, at once, and I just got a great idea, and I'm gonna try to push that out. And if I do make that happen, I think the basketball world will be pretty exciting for that. To be excited to be able to hear what I'm brewing or whatnot. So, but that was a good session. Thank you guys for the questions. Thank you for the comments. That was spot on. And I really appreciate you guys. That just makes the channel live when we bring on guests and you guys are talking to them, asking them questions and not being shy with your comments and things like that. That's what we want. We want that interaction. We don't want to be the ones that's doing all the talking and things like that, but we definitely want that interaction. All right. So be encouraged. High school basketball players, don't count out the fact that your high school coach have connections. Take advantage of this time. Work on your body, right? My suggestion is that don't always try to, get into the gym and try to go full court and things like that. Work on your weaknesses, right? The truth be told, you get into that full court situation, and what you're doing is just practicing the things that you already know, or you practicing which could possibly be bad habits, or you opening yourself up to injury. Now it's true, you can get injured with anything, but at the end of the day, when you're playing, aggressive and you're in a competitive situation, you increase those chances. So be smart, right? If you get into a gym, make sure it's a controlled environment. Make sure that you are actually working on your craft, chiseling yourself, right? Mastering what you already know. And that's one of my biggest things. That's one of my biggest sayings that I tell players that I'm working with. First of all, before you try to add anything additional to your game, are you a master at what you know, right? What is it that you're good at, And so if you're good at something, master it. Become great at that, because if you become great at that, then it's almost nearly impossible to stop. And then once you become great at that, then now you start adding those other pieces to your game, right? And so so that's my philosophy. And just make sure that you take care of yourselves. And hopefully we'll be back in the full swing of things. Basketball. I got a good feeling about this, guys. I got a good feeling about this. I got a feeling that, the powers that be. And once again, we don't know what it is to be in that situation, to be in the governor's situation, and to be able to make those type of decisions, because it's tough, right? But I believe I'm a firm believer that they're looking at the situation like, okay, guys, we have these facilities and these businesses still going, but yet we're stopping the high school and things like that, and there's so much at stake. Now, it would be nice that they would give an incentive or something, not money or anything like that, or if it's going to be money, or something to help people go to college or anything like that, because they missed out on so much. That would be nice, but I believe that they're looking at this situation and they're trying to do whatever it is that they possibly can to get these guys back on the floor and playing, because they're just missing out on a lot, and it's killing a lot of the players, and it's killing the coaches, and it's killing the fans as well, definitely. So, we don't have to be in the building, but shoot, let us watch it on TV or something. Come on, we did that with the football season, and it worked out pretty well. All of the games were broadcasted, and it was a nice feel. And they should have been doing that in the beginning, but it was a nice feel. You could watch the game from the comforts of your own home. It didn't have to be standing out there in the cold or anything like that. It was just wonderful, and not putting yourself at risk. So I'm very optimistic about this whole situation. So, and I want you to have that same energy. Make sure that you tune in with me on next week, because once again, I'm always working on something. And but I got definitely a guest already lined up, and I will confirm that for you guys on next Monday, so you'll know, or next week at some point, so you'll know what's happening on the show before Thursday kicks off or whatnot. But it's definitely going to be a great time next week, so make sure that you tune in, guys. Okay, stay safe and much love. Stay with me. There you have it, folks. Another great recruiting session in the books. Definitely there were some huge nuggets that were dropped, and hopefully you're walking away with something tangible. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and make sure you hit the notification bell so you'll be notified when we post new information. And also, too, if you want to support the channel financially, be sure to send all donations to $SportsDadCEPH, and that's also on my YouTube platform as well. Make sure that you stay tapped in. And until next time, I'm out.